Recording in progress.
So this is Jeannie, and I'm going to be doing another Nichiren Buddhism related video. Sometimes, from time to time, I do post Nichiren Buddhist related stuff. So I just had come from an introductory meeting. It's basically a meeting in our Buddhist center where we discuss to members and especially to non-members or to people that are discovering chanting Nam Myoho Renge Kyo and explain what the practice is about. So it gave me a few ideas on what I was going to talk about in this video. So when I started chanting 16 years ago, I was fortunate enough to have been mentored by one of the pioneering members in that region um, in my country before, where I was basically mentored from the very beginning, which for me was very, very like lucky. I learned from the best. And one of the things that I was told is that when you chant Nam Myoho Renge Kyo, you just, turn your life around. And not only that, they used the analogy of good fortune and lack of good fortune. So basically, when we came into this existence, we didn't come with, a clean slate. As Buddhists believe that there is, um, continuity of life, or we had an existence prior to this one. So even if you don't believe in that, you know, that line of reasoning that life is not really continuing from the next life to the next life, even if you don't believe in that, even in this lifetime itself we have an accumulation of good causes and bad causes, or good fortune and bad fortune. So when you chant Nam Myoho Renge Kyo, you turn your bad fortune into good fortune. And this is over time. It's not like the moment you chant Nam Myoho Renge Kyo, instantly it becomes, you become lucky. It's over time. And that's what I found out with my practice. I've been practicing for 16 years now. And because I had like a very good foundation of understanding the teaching that this is not like magic. You actually change your life gradually and over time. So looking back, I have noticed that, I did have a lot of misfortunes, but at the same time, I was able to turn it around and turn it into good fortune. So that's the benefit of chanting Nam Myoho Renge Kyo. You can turn negativity into something positive and a cause for even greater happiness in your life. So back to the discussion of when we come into this present existence, we don't come with a clean slate. If you've noticed, babies that are seemingly innocent are born into like really reprehensible, like negative circumstances. But then there's babies that are born into like wealthy families. But at the same time as well, you have wealthy families that suddenly they lose their fortune. So it's because, of our existences in the past, and our current present moment is a reflection of the past, our past existences, whether it be the last lifetime, if you don't believe in that, even in the current lifetime as well. So when you chant Nam Myoho Renge Kyo, and this was what I was told, and it's starting to make sense to me. So we come with, maybe it depends on we call it karma or accumulation of causes. So it depends on your karma, whether you came with good fortune in a particular area or bad fortune in a particular area. So let's say in your health, you come from a family that unfortunately has bad fortune in health, but then there's also some people that have good fortune, they live a long life. So basically, the belief before in karma, especially in the older teachings, Hinduism, and some teachings of Buddhism, they believe that whatever card you are dealt, that's it. There's no way around it. But the Nichiren Buddhism is very hopeful. It means that whatever cards you are dealt, there's always a chance that you can change it for the better. And that's how chanting Nam Myoho Renge Kyo helps. So in my case, I come from a family. Unfortunately, there's history of mental illness, history of like just really lack of health, may it be physical health or mental health as well. So, and a little also of, the relationship karma, and also money karma as well. So I have like, all aspects are covered. Some are worse, some aspects of my life are worse than others. And in your case, it may be that you have health but you don't have, money. Or it could be that you have money but you don't have health. So what do you do when that is a card that you are dealt? When you chant Nam Myoho Renge Kyo, and I've noticed it in myself, you are able to turn it around. So sorry, I was interrupted, so I had to pause the video for a bit. But going back, so we come with a storehouse of karma, as they say, negative balance or positive balance, whatever aspects of your life you have. But when you chant Nam Myoho Renge Kyo, it's such a good fortune to have that in your life, that you can turn anything that's, negative balance in your life, you can slowly turn it and create, good fortune in your life, or change the circumstances. So in my case, history of, mental illness in the family, bad health. And I really believe that if I had not discovered Nam Myoho Renge Kyo, or I hadn't chanted Nam Myoho Renge Kyo, I think my life would have gone down that same path, the same path that is the tendency, the karmic tendency, or the family tendency, which is to not have such good health, and, and to just suffer. And I literally have, family members that are suffering that same fate right now. And since I had that tendency, more than likely, and I was already on that downward trajectory, I would have also suffered the same fate as well. But because I chanted Nam Myoho Renge Kyo, I was able to turn misfortune into good fortune. And basically, I noticed in the 16 years that I was practicing, so I was able to change that. So that tendency, of depression, of anxiety, I was able to overcome that, because right now I can easily snap out of it, and it's no longer my basic tendency. Whereas before, if I had like a small problem, I would easily get depressed. I would easily just, give up, and, suffering depression as well. But with when I started chanting Nam Myoho Renge Kyo, I was able to turn things around in that aspect of my life. And of course, there's several aspects. So I also had like, you know, employment issues as well, like, um, work, not being ideal, or like just really bad situations at work as well. And I realized that I was able to turn that around over the years by, hopping from company to company, but the next company was just better than before. And, and even if you do stay in the same, like in your case, let's say you don't want to leave your job, you can still turn things around by chanting Nam Myoho Renge Kyo. The power of this chant is that it has a wave like effect. Like you can make a difference in that workplace that you're in. But in my case, like I really wanted something better, and I have gotten that over the years, and just better circumstances. So, um, there's also relationship karma as well. And my family tendency is, the relationships, especially romantic relationships, are not very ideal in both sides of my family. So, a lot of relationship strife, partnerships, and that is, my karmic tendency as well. And I am in the process of also changing that. And a few years ago, I was in a relationship with, a guy who I thought was, you going to be the one. But it didn't turn out that way. And I was always questioning, and I'm like, a part of me was like blaming, like, oh, why did he do that to me? Or how could this happen to me? But looking back, it was just a tendency in my life, because of my family background, and, you know, just really negative romantic relationships, or really romantic, toxic relationships. So he disappeared from my life. And, for a couple years, I was always wondering, like, I was chanting Nam Myoho Renge Kyo, why did that happen to me? It was seemingly the most positive relationship at first, but slowly became toxic. And I realized, because I had not developed what they said, the good fortune yet, and there was something in me that forced things to unfold. So it's not like, blaming myself. It's something deep rooted, deep seated, and unconscious as well, that there's something in me that created those circumstances. So this came up in the meeting today, like not the meeting, but a discussion about, like, water, a glass of water and with sediments inside. And always this was used by the people that mentored me. They use this analogy a lot. Like, let's say water, it is clear, right? But there's sediments inside. If you don't stir the water, it would appear that the water is clear. But when you start stirring the water with a teaspoon, like, the sediments will, like, be disturbed, and then it will cause the water to be murky. And such are the causes in our lives. They are just at the bottom, seemingly nothing's happening. But when there's, like, the external circumstances are right, and you start stirring the water, the glass of water, all the sediments will come out and pop out. And of course, as human beings, we're going to blame the spoon or the teaspoon or the circumstances and say, oh, it's because of these circumstances, my life is in shambles. But it was just there in the surface. It was just sitting there waiting for the right time to come out. So if that thing hadn't happened to me, that relationship going toxic and going sour, and the guy just disappearing from my life in the most hurtful way, I wouldn't have looked within me and wouldn't have realized, like, oh my God, this is my family pattern. This is the karmic pattern. This is the causes, not just within me, but my family history as well. And this is the what I grew up with, just knowing about toxic relationships, and then just growing up with that environment. And if it hadn't happened to me, I wouldn't have realized that I still have work to do within myself. So chanting Nam Myoho Renge Kyo, in a way, it was negative. Like, people from the outside would say, like, oh, that was such a negative thing that happened to you. But for me, it was good fortune, because I was able to eliminate that negative episode in my life, just got rid of it, and became enlightened that, oh, this is the pattern that I'm operating. And this is the pattern that I choose not to operate anymore. And if that had not happened, I wouldn't have been aware. And more than likely, that relationship, should it have continued, it would have just continued to be a really toxic relationship. Because what I really chanted was to be in a really happy and loving relationship. And the fact that that relationship disappeared made me realize that that wasn't what was the best for me. So there will be people, when they start chanting Nam Myoho Renge Kyo, maybe people in your life will disappear from your life, or certain things will happen that you will be distanced from something. What it basically means is that you are already changing, your life. You're changing the causes at this moment on, and you're changing something from, that would lead you down a path of unhappiness to a path that will lead you to your greater happiness and good. And of course, I realized this over the years, because the thing about this practice is that it has a cumulative effect. It doesn't mean that you chant right now and then instantly you're enlightened. It like slowly unfolds itself. And so just continue to chant Nam Myoho Renge Kyo, and turn misfortune into good fortune. And what that means is that turn negative events that into something more positive and a cause for your greater happiness and good. And the external circumstances are just a reflection of what was already deep inside of you, Um, and when you check Nam Myoho Renge Kyo, you will realize, like, oh, okay, this is what happened, and this is the cause that I can see. And of course, since this lifetime is a reflection of the previous existences, there's really no need to look back into your like past life or something like that, because some people go to the extremes and they're like, oh yeah, it was my, when I, thousands of years ago, I was this person, or who knows, um it's too hard to trace it. Just focus on this lifetime, because this is the lifetime that is the accumulation and the reflection of the previous causes that was created. So who cares how many lifetimes ago you did this to that? Just focus on this lifetime, and just realize that whatever pops up in your reality, more than likely, especially if it's negative, right? It was from, a cause that sometimes we can't comprehend anymore where it came from. But the most important thing is that we chant Nam Myoho Renge Kyo to change that tendency into something that will work for you rather than against you. Hopefully, this helps you. And again, it's all about, to sum it all up, it's just, chanting Nam Myoho Renge Kyo is slowly building up your good fortune. And that's it. Thank you very much for watching.